Good evening. Good evening, everyone, to the Mishmar Night of Ahavas. Shalom. Thank you, Mayor, for sponsoring. Very nice. With amongst other people. As I said before, disclaimer: this year is not an easy one. You can still you can take the challenge and stay here, or choose otherwise. Although I would like you to stay. It's not a halacha shiur. I mean, the title of this year is Gardening on Shabbos, and if this would be halacha shiur, it would last about half a second. Can you garden on Shabbos? No. So I'm saying end of shiur, and then we go to have the amazing sumptuous curry chicken that the people make here in the Mishmar, and that would be the end of the stuff. That would be much more fun, but for the body at least. No, the shiur is a shiur which will try to inspect more in depth certain concepts in Shabbos, to try and really get to very fine details. I don't know how fine we're going to get. They're very, very fine. It's like almost a lumdis brain surgery to try and understand one concept in Shabbos mainly, and that is the concept of Psik Raisha, which I believe most of you, all of you have heard about, which we will discuss soon. We will discuss gardening on Shabbos because there's specifically one melacha in Shabbos which we're going to focus, and through that malacha, that particular malacha, one of 39 malachas in Shabbos, we're going to have some new discovery, possibly about Psik Raisha. Okay, what does Psik Raisha mean? We'll explain that too, although I believe you do know, but I thought I knew what Psik Raisha before I started learning the sugya. Let's put it this way. So let's go, Already steady to go. We're not in North Korea tonight, it's more relaxed, but because this year needs a lot of concentration, I gave this year over as my preparation to people who are sitting and learning all day long in kollel, and they needed to concentrate, and so did I. It needs concentration, which means I don't mind questions at all. I welcome questions, but not like if in the middle of something, don't ask me what would be if. Don't try and veer outside the framework of the shiur. We have enough what to think about within the shiur. So don't ask me ifs, and don't please ask me. I'm saying it respectfully. My cousin from Seattle told me that the Rebbitzin told her otherwise. Not like you're saying. I'm saying that's cool, but let's just stay focused on where we are. We have a lot to chew on today. So let's start. It's very courageous of you to stay here after all that. Welcome, and let's go already. The Gemara Daf and Gimel Amud Beis in Shabbos tells us about the melacha of Zorea, the possibly first melacha. There's a question, which one's the first? The first melacha mentioned in the Mishnah, the first one of the 39 prohibitions in Shabbos, is the melacha of Zorea. Zorea means to sow or to plant, and you're not allowed to sow seeds on Shabbos. The definition is to make anything grow or help it grow on Shabbos. Very nice. That melacha has a few children and told us, right? We all know that in Shabbos there's fathers and children. There are other melachos similar to sowing. By the way, sowing zoea means seeds in the ground. Whatever, tomatoes, cucumbers, the flowers, whatever. That is zoea. There is another similar action called notea, planting, when you plant a sapling. And then you have other two called mavrich umarkiv, that's grafting, right? You take a branch and you graft it into an existing tree. And that is also a toda of Zorea and Notea. They're similar to both. You're putting something not in the ground, in the tree, and you sort of connect it, you tie it. I actually saw it once being done near Eilat somewhere. And you have another one, Mavrich, Markiv, and then there is a fifth one. There's grafting. I said grafting, and there's another one called propagating. We're not going there. It's really, really not Yishana. No. So now, okay, no, sorry. So now that's one word, propagation. Now there is a fifth one. He is the black sheep of the family, as we're going to see later. There is another melacha that is also doraisa. No good news. It's Shemitah. You can work your garden already, but not on Shabbos. And that melacha is also from the Torah, doraisa, and it's called zomer. Zomer doesn't mean to sing. Zomer in English means pruning. You basically cut the twig, you cut a branch in order to make the branch grow better later. It takes time. I actually spoke to a gardener. There's one of the people in the morning call, he's a professional gardener. He told me when you cut it, it takes time, and it's always good for the tree. You cut, and then eventually it grows better, nicer, and it takes time. It's actually important to remember these details for later. So far so good. Why is it the black sheep? Why did I say that's a black sheep of the family? We're going to discuss that soon. Fine. Atkan, all clear. We're ready. Yeah, fasten your seatbelts. It's all very nice. Now, says the Gemara, I thought it would be Mar Mekoimis, but okay, there isn't. Lo mishaneh. Basically, the Gemara then later, the second paragraph of the Gemara after that, the Gemara says as follows. The Gemara says, Omar Rav Kahana, Shabbos and Gimel and Beis. Rav Kahana says an interesting statement. Zoimer v'tzorich le'eitzim. What happens if a person, show and tell, I'm trying to make it interesting. Imagine yourself, that's a twig. Yeah, that's a twig on Shabbos. You have my scissors. Yeah, I stole them from my daughter. And now, let's say a person has it. Imagine yourself that's connected to a tree. Okay, that's a branch. And I now cut it on Chas v'Shalom on Shabbos. And when I cut it, I have two purposes in mind. I want to achieve two things, two goals. Zoimer v'tzorich le'eitzim. What does that mean? I want to prune because what's pruning? To regrow, right? I want this here. I hope that soon, at some point soon, here, nicer and bigger, flowers. They do it a lot to roses that I remember from my childhood. Yeah. I want, let's say, the rose tree to grow better, or the vine, whatever, to grow better. And also, hey, where did it fall? I actually want the piece that fell. I want that, says Rashi, for my firewood. So really, I am doing two actions in one, two for the price of but one. Sounds like Rami Levi? Two for the price of one. What does that mean? Really, I have just now involved two different Ahavas Malacha of Shabbos. Let us not get confused. Wait. One Malacha was Zoimer. Zoimer is a child of the family of Zorea. I'm actually causing growth. I'm helping something to grow. And that is my purpose here. I make it grow by cutting. It's going to grow better. Okay? However, I also have a second purpose. I actually want that piece of a tree, the other one, that one, I cut it from this, and I keep that. As opposed to the first case, I want to keep that. Why do I want to keep it? Says Rashi, because I want to have firewood. So, am I not? So, Baruch Hashem, two for the price of one. I am trying to make something grow better. That belongs to the family of Zoimer, which is a Tolda, a child of Zorea. Here it's going to grow better. It's the same as planting, the same as watering, putting flowers in the vase, possibly. And what? The other purpose, I actually want the tree. I want the twig, the branch. So what if I want the tree? What changed? Why does that make a difference? Clearly, I'll ask you a question. If I pick an apple, pick an orange, pick a pear from the tree, is that helping the growth? No. That belongs to a different family. There are 39 families in Shabbos. It's a ganze family geography. We're Jewish. We like to talk about families, yeah? So the other family is anything that disconnects, when I disconnect something from its place of growth, and it's organic, when I pick a flower, when I pick any fruit, that belongs to the family of koitzer. Really, I should say in English, koitzer, yeah? Which is what? Which is cutting, which is harvesting. So really, says Rav Kahana, if I do two at the same time with one action, with one boom, with one cutting, I'm actually transgressing two Averas at the very same time. So what? Well, it's really bad that I did two instead of one. With one action, I broke two things. I broke the law twice. One, the family of Zorea, one of the family of Koitzer, of cutting, because I want to gain the tree, the twig. I want it. So it's like taking an apple off the tree. And therefore, in this case, says Rav Kahana, chayiv shtaim. I'm chayiv two. What do you mean I'm chayiv two? Let's say I did it by mistake. Let's say I was not aware of the fact that it's also to do it on Shabbos. Then I will not have to bring one korban. I will have to bring two korbanos, two korban chatos, because each family in Shabbos, you'd have to bring one chatos, which means, I'm just elaborating a little bit, if I do all types of zorah together, let's say I'm planting, and I am sowing the seeds, and I am pruning, and I'm helping the growth, and I'm watering the flowers, 10 different actions. At the end of Shabbos, I realize it's ulcer, I'll have to bring one korban, right? If I did 10 types of cooking together, it's all these words my wife knows, and I don't sauteing and all that. I don't know the cooking, the frying, the deep frying, the shmit frying, all types of different actions in the kitchen. I'd be chayv at the end of the day one chatas because they all belong to the family of Mevashel. Over here, in one action, boom, I actually I involved two mishpachas together. I did the malacha of zoimer, which belongs to, as if I'm planting, belongs to the planting family. But because I also want the tree, look, I want it. I'll use it for fire. I'm going to use it maybe to make new furniture. I'm gaining something from the actual product that fell off the tree, the twig itself, the tree itself, and therefore I'm chai because of koitzel, because it's like picking an apple. And when I pick apples and oranges and flowers and all kinds of things, I'm chayav because of what? Of koitzel. And here in one action, boom, I've got both. Two for the price of one. Really not the price of one. Less to pay for two shepsalach, bring into Beis HaMikdash. That is just a very, very simple, basic story here. And that is Rav Kahana. And there are other examples later in the Gemara. So if anybody asks you, can I be over two melachos with the same action on Shabbos? The answer is yes. And here's your example. Now we already know something. Excuse, yeah, what? As I said, let's focus on. Believe me, we are. Yeah, it's muktzes the rabbanon. We're talking about the rices. Harav, you're such a nice person, and if you can bring me hot water or any, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Shkoyach. Let's remain. Believe me, let's concentrate on. Is everything pshat understood so far? The pshat without if and what. I'll be happy to answer you 10:15. I promise. Yeah. No, he knew what he was doing. Excuse me. He knew that he's pruning, and he knew very well that he wants the twigs. He just didn't know that it's forbidden. He didn't know it's forbidden on Shabbos. Yeah. Yes, sometimes it brings one if you did all types of actions that all belong to one family. If I did 20 different types of cooking on Shabbos for 2 hours, but by mistake was stemmed from not knowing what bishul, then I have to bring one. Okay, fine. Yeah. That's all chiddush. Here with one action, he really did two. Voila. Okay. Now, okay. So far so good. Comes Rashi, and this I have to thank Mechavrusa. It's like he opened the gold mine. Yeah, Mechavrusa. I don't say his name. People don't like his name to be mentioned. You're an absolute tzaddik. Thank you so much. And says Rashi, you don't even have to have it in front of you. Thank you so much. If you have a couple. Zoimer, says Rashi, the word zoimer, pruning, says Rashi, 2 words. Latzmiach hagefen. You pruning in order to lehatzmiach, to make the vine grow. 2 words. These 2 words seem to be innocent. Well, I just told you, right? Why do you prune? What's the purpose of pruning? To make the gefen, in this case the vine, to grow better. This Rashi is far from innocent. This Rashi is far from simple. Why? Here comes fun. Here comes the real deal. Here comes the money time. Thank you very much. Rashi does not tell us simply, it's not a dictionary definition of what Zoimer means. It's not. Because Rashi already defined it. There was the whole Maaseh about Zoimer in the previous Gemara. What does Rashi mean when he says Zoimer la'atzmiach hagefen, that you pruned it in order to make the gefen grow better? A whole group of Achronim, of the commentaries, Achronim, they all explain one thing. Rashi comes to tell me that when the person goes the person does that, it's fun. Yeah. When he does that, then really, that's diffuse of the tension. When a person does that, he has to have in mind that he actually wants the tree, the vine, to grow better. Well, obviously, people do what they mean and they mean what they do. What's Rashi coming to tell me? Rashi comes to tell me, say unanimously, although I think there's one more explanation, but most commentaries explain, Rashi comes to tell me that here you have to really want that action in order to be chayiv. As opposed to what? Well, here we come to a different, here we come to the main thing. There is a concept in Shabbos called Psik Raisha. What is Psik Raisha? I assume you know, but let's just, get into it. Shabbos, there's the concept called meleches מחשבת. Meleches מחשבת means that a person in Shabbos is chayiv only if his intention is completely all there to do the melacha, even more than other areas of Torah, as we're going to see later. For example, if the person, let's compare Shabbos to Nezikin, to damages, which we're learning a lot in the morning now. Yeah. So let's say a person inadvertently, went like this, he yawned, and he pushed his elbow on his friend's nose, and he punched his nose by mistake. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry is not enough. Odemod loilom comes to Nezikin. The Torah is very strict. Yeah, and even though he did it by mistake and he sort of just, made the wrong move, you're chayiv. Funnily enough, on Shabbos, we see that if the person does something called dover she'ein miskaven, let's say you did an action. I don't know if you noticed, I'm being very consistent. I'm using the word action and the word melacha. Not every action I do on Shabbos is a melacha that is forbidden and makes me bring a korban. So let's say the person does the action of I'll give you one example and I'll stick to. I don't have enough hair to show, but let's say a person wants to brush his hair on Shabbos, If he brushes his hair with his fingers, he runs his fingers through his hair to make it, sometimes with the beard, and the hair may or may not fall. To make your hair, to pull your hair, to eradicate your hair on Shabbos is also. That's forbidden. That's an av melocha. If it takes scissors and cut the beard, that's also. But if I go like that, and maybe the hair will fall, maybe it won't fall. I don't want my beard to fall. I want to have a beard, Otherwise, how can I give shiur without a beard? Let's have a beard, right? Otherwise, nobody's going to listen to me. So then, lamaisa, I run my fingers through my beard, and it may or may not fall some hair. That's okay. It's allowed. According to Rabbi Shimon, we paskin that's allowed. Why? It's not meleches machsheves. My mind is not really interested in the hair falling, and therefore, even though a hair may fall here and there, it's absolutely fine. Rabbi Shimon said it's allowed lechatchila, and I don't think you'll be surprised, but even today, with all the chumras, tafshin pei gimel, it's still allowed. You have maybe your daughter or granddaughter with long hair, you want to run, to make her look a little bit tidy on Shabbos, you can run your fingers through her hair because it's dovish and miskaven. Maybe conditions, ask the rabbi. It's not a halacha shiur. Very nice. However, let's say I want to use a brush on Shabbos, brush the beard or brush my non-existing hair. Let's say somebody wants to brush the hair on Shabbos, and then we know for sure that even though you don't want the hair to fall, you'd like to have more hair, as most people, but lamaisi, the hair is going to fall, then it's osir, and it's even chayiv kores, chayiv skila, chayiv. Abba and Rava say it all over Masechet Shabbos about 6 times, Yuchayiv, and that's called Psik Raisha. Famous story, Rambam in other places. You can't cut the head of the chicken and say, I just want to cut the head of the chicken so my child will play with the head of the chicken, and I don't want the chicken to die. Well, the chicken will die, mister. And therefore, you chai because of Psik Raisha. Comes the question, if we say that if you do something, but the second result that you're not interested in, necessarily, there are different levels, nichale, lo nichale, but let's say you want to do an action, you do something in action, and you know that, as you're brushing your hair strongly, it's going to fall, mister, you're a chayev on Shabbos. The question everybody asks on Rashi, that person that has 2 purposes by cutting the branch. One purpose is he wants the trees, or I should say the twigs, the branches, he wants to take them for the firewood. But will the tree automatically grow sooner or later better? Yes, it will. It will. So that's called Psik Raisha, right? I'm doing one action of, let's say I only want one thing. I just want the firewood. I just want the wood to make the new, I want to be the new competitor of IKEA. I want to make nicer furniture with nicer wood. I really, frankly, my dear, I don't care at all if the tree will regrow or will not regrow. Well, that's Psik Raisha. Of course, I should be chayav on Zomer, even if I'm not intending to do Zomer. And Rashi seems to add those words, again, according to most people, in order to tell me that by Zomer, from some mysterious reason, Psik Raisha doesn't work. And that's the question which we have to answer tonight. Why? I'm repeating, I'm reviewing, and I'm revising, and I'm recording, In other words, again, we all know that if you do an action on Shabbos, an action, I walk down the street on Shabbos, and I love the animals, of course, and I love the ants. I don't want to kill the ants, chas v'shalom, I'm killing an ant, and I walk in the street, the ants may or may not die, there aren't so many of them. I'm allowed to walk in the streets, dovish and miskaven, I have no kavanah to kill them. But if the place is swarmed with ants, like some African jungle, there's for sure 100% you're going to kill an ant. It's not a good example, but let's say, whatever. So then for sure it's going to happen. Why am I talking about ants? You walk by the lights, right? There's automatic lights, like in England, You walk and then the light goes on. Maybe we'll discuss it at 10:15. I have what to say about it. So then if it's inadvertent, although I'm walking from my house to my friend's house, I don't really care about the light. It's not my purpose to turn on the light in Mr. Paparovsky's backyard. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm chayav because it's going to happen. That's always the rule. We all know that, right? And yet in Zomer, from some reason, Rashi is telling me, when you have the double purpose, you have to think of both things. If you just thought of the twig, I just want that piece because I want to use it for fire, and I have no active, real, positive, at the moment, real intention for the thing to grow, then I'm not chayiv in the growth of the tree. Hashem Mishmar, why? Why on earth? I'm not asking this. My chavrus asked it, genius. I didn't ask it actually. I have to admit, I've been through this more many times. And yeah, my chavrus Yosef is also Yosef, his first name. And now I looked up the Sforim Rosh Yosef and the Eagle Eital and the Masas Moshe, and I'm seeing a lot on this topic. And yes, there is an answer that explains why is it that Zomer is not really, that Psik Raisha does not apply there. By Zomer, by pruning, you have to have an active kavana. And I hinted to the answer. Now let's not lose track. I hinted to the answer, and I said to you before that Zomer is the bad boy of the Zorah family. Excuse the pun, I'm planting seeds of the answer by you. I want to make it even more complicated. So far it wasn't complicated, just ask the question, right? Why is there no Psik Raisha in Zomer? Now, Tosfos, clearly in Maseches Moed Koton, and over here too is Merames, Tosfos says that there is Psik Raisha in Zomer. Tosfos argues in Rashi, and Tosfos says outright that if you're Zomer without extra intention, it just happens by itself. I mean, you know what you're doing, yeah. You're cutting the tree because you want the tree. You want to make furniture, you want to gain the tree. That's like picking an apple that belongs to Kotzer. But because inadvertently, automatically, the tree will grow without you thinking about it, Tosfos argues with Rashi, and Tosfos says, yes, you're chayiv. Even worse. So what's Machlokes Rashi Tosfos? Yeah, Rashi says there is no Psik Raisha in Zomer. Tosfos says there is, and Hashem should help us to understand why. Hashem sent us some Meforshim to explain why. So far, so good. Understood the Poshup shot without ifs and maybes? I'm positively surprised that we're all Baruch Hashem in it. Now, surprised of Baruch Hashem, the Koicha Torah. Says Rosh Yosef, allow him to make a bracha, and thank you very much again, Jeff. Says Rosh Yosef something very, very interesting, and a lot of other Achronim are like angry with him, like, what are you talking about? The Rosh Yosef answers like this. Says Zomer doesn't take place right away. Zomer is a slow learner, is a slow kid. Yeah, Zomer, you cut it now, and as a gardener also assured, and Echanam is going to take time until the result actually happens. And that's why there's no Psik Raisha. Okay. So first of all, why? Who cares if it's who cares if it's slow or fast? And secondly, so Reb Meir, who's leaving us soon, Reb Meir says it's groma. It's true. It's groma. Actions, it's a delayed reaction. Delayed reaction is one definition of one application of groma. It's not your normal melacha. Melacha usually in the Torah, let's assume so. Let's assume you're right. Nice. In Shabbos, in other areas, yeah, grama usually a person is exempt from, right? And here Zomer, you are chayiv, even though it's grama, but because it's grama, that's why Psik Raisha doesn't apply. I beg to ask, so what if it's grama? At the end of the day, you're chayiv on Zomer, right? You are. It's Meforsh in the Gemara. The person who does Zomer and has kavana, I want to be Zomer. I'm just imagining in my mind, concentrating. L'shem yichud kol shabrichu. I'm just envisioning those roses growing beautifully, amazingly after the entire year of Shemitah. Then I'm chayiv on Zomer, even though it's groma, right? Yes. And yet, when it's Psik Raisha, and I don't have the intention much so strong, it's by Psik Raisha, then I'm not chayiv because it's groma. So there are still some missing pieces here in the puzzle. Secondly, let me ask you, isn't every Zorah groma? You know, I'm a city child from Tel Aviv. You know, I didn't grow up in a kibbutz or something, but as far as I know, also from a Gemara knowledge and from life, when you plant a seed in the ground, you know, it doesn't grow in a second. It will happen lost at love when Mashiach comes, more in Shabbos, you know, Perek Sheni. But as long as we're in this mortal world, you know, you plant something in the ground, it takes at least 3 days to germinate, right? So that's also a groma because it's delayed reaction. Every Zorah has delayed reaction. And yet, regular Zorah, do we all know that you're not allowed to, or it's highly advised not to go on picnic on Shabbos? Seriously. Why? Because if you eat the fruit on the ground, and the ground is nice and fertile, and if you throw the stone, the pit, whatever you call it, the garin, the seed on the ground, yeah, by mistake, you throw it and it's going to grow eventually. But don't do that. And the Shvisas, the Shabbos checks, the Shulchan Aruch, by the way. It's not the new Frumkeit I invented now. It's Shulchan Aruch, yeah? Rabbi Joseph Caro, yeah? And the Shvisas, the Shabbos says it's Isser Doraisa because of Psik Raisha. So can somebody explain to me what's going on over here? In other words, again, let's not lose focus here, yeah? When I eat something and I just throw something on the ground, which is I go to Parkai alone, and I throw some, I don't know, watermelon seed on the ground, Isser Doraisa, because if you know, yeah, you're aware of the fact that it will grow, right? It's also Doraisa, and we don't care the fact that the watermelon will grow there, I don't know, after a few weeks, I think, it takes time, yeah? Then it's okay. And yet still Zomer is discriminated. I'm from the Zomer rights movement. Yet Zomer, from some reason, we're saying because it grows slowly, it's groma, and because of that, I'm not high because of Psik Raisha. Still difficult. Still difficult to understand. Yes. Any seed that I actually sow in the ground, yes, I throw it knowingly. I throw it. I'm not interested in thing growing. I don't care what grows in Park alone. You know, it's near my house. I don't care what's growing there, as long as I keep quiet at night. Yeah, I'm saying Lamhaisa. Yeah, the thing is that if I throw the seed on the ground, which is also a Psik Raisha, I know it's going to grow, but I kind of don't care about it. But I know it's going to happen. That's Psik Raisha. Yeah. The Shri says the Shabbos says you have no raisa, and yet when it comes to Zomer, you say no. By Zomer, if I just cut it for any other reason, whatever, to straighten the tree, to align it, or because I wanted the twig, if I'm not interested, mamish, and this growing very nicely, I'm potter, meaning Psik Raisha has some kind of war, power struggle. Psik Raisha does not go well with the one little thing called Zomer. Why? Comes the answer. Is inevitable? Yes. Psik Raisha means that I have no intention of doing it, but inevitably it will happen. That's the general definition of Psik Raisha. What? Automatic, right? Slow or quick, but it's automatic. Now, okay. By the way, the Eagle Tal also explains. Let me explain based on the Gemara in Bava Kama. We're back to the concept of meleches machsheves. We compared before Dinei Nezikin, the laws of damages, to the laws of Shabbos, right? What did we say? If I go like this, I'm stretching myself, end of the day, I'm tired, I prepared for the Mishmar, and what? And I hit my friend's nose, I have to pay him 5 different things, 4 things. Never too late. Thank you very much. The Marma comments if you want. Okay. Now. That is what? That is there. On Shabbos, meleches machsheves. If it's a dover shen miskaven, I don't really mean to do it, and I'm not sure it's going to happen. It's not inevitable. I'm potter. Look at the Gemara you can actually see it now if you want. The Gemara in Bava Kama there in Daf Samech. Gemara in Bava Kama says as follows. Let's say a person, and this is a very, very, very crucial Gemara, very, very yesodic, very essential Gemara to understand regarding Shabbos, although it's in Bava Kama. Daf Samech Amud Aleph, the top of the page, top tish of the page. Gemara says there, what happens if a person lights fire, ignites fire in his own domain, in his own, let's say, yard, whatever, barbecue or something, and he did with a naf, he waved it a bit in order to, but it was very schwach, the fire was not really getting anywhere. The wind came, and the wind blew it. Without the wind, he would not be able to have proper fire. The wind blew it so hard, so high, and flared it so much that it started, trespassing the fire into his friend's field. Famous case in Bava Kama, in Parshas Mishpatim. Then we say that the person is potur, is exempt. Why? Because that's grama. That's grama. In other words, indirect action on indine nezikin, I'm potter. Yeah, as my favorite example, not the mafioso who sits, in the in the office in Manhattan with a phone call, I don't know, WhatsApp, he kills half of New York. He's not chayev. He's not doing anything beyadayim. He's causing things to happen. He's telling Mario to kill Luciano. In other words, in Dinei Nezikin, when you just engineer things and you're the brains behind it, you're not chayev. On Shabbos, says the Gemara. On Shabbos, it's different. There are 4 answers. The final and most accepted answer of the Gemara is on Shabbos. If you do have the thought, I want to do something mean and naughty on Shabbos, yeah, and I'm not using my hands, I'm using the wind, similar to the wind of the fire, For example, let's say I take what's the names? I take seeds, whatever, wheat, barley, cereals, and I pick them up to the wind. It's called in nice English winnowing, and then the wind takes it away. Then I'm chayev. I didn't do it by a dime. I just threw it to the wind. Yeah, the Eagle Tal says sometimes if it takes time, it stays in there a little bit, defeats thing for a little while, and then the wind takes it away against gravity. I'm chayev. I'm chayev and zoyer. Why? Zoyer v'ruch mesayosai, because I want it in my mind. I'm engineering a whole plan over here, and I want the thing to happen. Then I'm chayev. What does that mean? Now, we're getting there. Absolutely repeat the Gemara. Yes. On Shabbos, let me just tell you the general rule and then the example of the Gemara. On Shabbos, Meleches Machsheves makes Shabbos stricter. That's the con of Meleches Machsheves. Because my Machshava is that this sometimes applies, sometimes doesn't apply. In certain cases, when my Machshava is, I want to employ the wind to be on my side, and be mechalel Shabbos by I'm going to pick it up, and the wind is going to do like borer. Zor is a form of borer. I'm chayev. Had I done the same thing in Ezekin, let's say I pick a knife up in the air or some arrow. I pick it up in the air. Then I'm drinking my coffee, and the wind takes that arrow, the knife, not directly through me, and stabs someone. Chas v'shalom, stabs somebody. I'm potter, and that's not a nice thing to do. I'm chayev b'din shamayim, but I'm potter. Why? Because on Shabbos, I'm more chayev on what I think and plan, more than by Nezikin. I don't know if you realize how nice this is. On one hand, Meleches Machsheves makes Shabbos easier. Why? Because if I walk in because when I do this, and I may or may not result with Chilul Shabbos, as long as it's not for sure Psik Raisha, then it's okay. If I do the same thing, I maybe punch my friend in the nose, maybe not, I'll be chayev, right? Because on Shabbos here, I had no kavanah. When I stroke my beard, I have no intention of cutting any hair. That's why it's allowed. Mashenken, the downside of it on Shabbos is just the opposite. Let's say I know, Shabbos we care about what I know more than what I do. And therefore in Shabbos, if I plan, here's a nice windy day, it's Shabbos today, but who cares? The rabbi is not looking. And what? And I'm using the wind for myself, even though my action is very shvach. I'm picking it up, then I'm like drinking my coffee, not doing anything. And the wind does it. Then what do we say? That I am chayev, because in Shabbos planning and engineering is the chiyuv. Of course, there are many exceptions. We're talking general now. Now we can finally understand the Rosh Yosef based on the Igla Tal. I don't want to get too complicated, so let's just tell you general. Now listen. Every action in the world, actually, and Kol Shekin in Shabbos, everything you do, there is the mice, almost everything. There's the mice, there's the what you do, and your idea, your goal, your thought behind it, right? You cook in order to, cook supper for your kids. You cut in order for this and that. You do all kinds of things. On Shabbos also. On Shabbos, you have to have maisa and machshava. You have the maisa. I'm not yet calling it malacha. Let's write the formula over here, but I'm not going to write it. Maisa, action, plus thought, equals Melechus Shabbos. In other words, I thought you were asking if I really, really don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, for example, somebody is completely mistaken. He doesn't realize what he does for various reasons. He will be potter in Shabbos, right? Let's say the person does Maisa, Machshava equals Malacha. I'm chayev. Oh, now we're getting. Now is the main thing. Now comes the big. Russians do this follows based on the English talk. When I have a good Maisa, what does it mean good? When I have a Maisa, this is beautiful. You got to listen now. Now is the main thing. Now we're at the top of the mountain. Now we're going to stay in the top, but that's the top. When I have a Maisa that is an absolute normal, forget about Zohar now. I'm not about Zohar. Leave them to the side. When I do a normal Maisa, I turn on the light. In half a second, the light's on. I do a Maisa. I cut the hair. Boom! It's right away cut. No question. That's not groma. That's Maisa b'yadayim. All over the Torah, not only on Shabbos. I don't need the favors of Meleches Machsheves. Whether I'm cutting it in Tisha B'Av, Shabbos, cutting my friend's beard, cutting the Tetzah straight out, that's real good Maisa. Yeah? There, even though Meleches Machsheves, even though Psik Raisha, let's stop with that for a second. I want to ask you, all of you, is Psik Raisha really the same as a person really having kavanah? When I brush my hair on Shabbos, I don't, yeah? If somebody brushes his beard on Shabbos, yeah? and the hairs fall all the time, and he knows it. Naughty boy. Yeah. Is it really, really the same as cutting with scissors? Well, halachically, yes, you're chayev, but really not. According to most Rishonim, no. Because when I let's say brush my beard like this, and I know it's going to happen, it's still not my primary, not my prime kavanah, right? I want to really brush my beard; should look nice. Inadvertently, another thing's going to happen. It's inevitable. But the level of kavanah is not 100%. Let's call it 90%. I walk to shul. I walk to shul. I have no intention, not about the ants. I didn't come here. I didn't leave my house not to kill the ants that are swarming, not to turn on the lights of the fancy houses in Golders Green. That's not what I came here for. I came here because I want to go to shul, right? Because I want to go visit my friend. It's inadvertently happening. It's for sure automatic happening, the result. But it's not 100% my kavanah, okay? Back to the formula. No, I get it. No. Now it's really coming. When I have a maise, which is 100% maise, I'm killing the ants with my feet. I'm mamish cutting my beard like this. Although my kavanah is not 100%, but only 90%, says the Torah, Rabbi, you are chayev. It's really about Rabbi, you're chayev. The action is a good action. You're mamish acting right away. It's an action which b'chol Torah kula called mamish maise biyadayim. Boom, 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 boom. Elamai, your kavanah is not billion%. You're 90% kavanah, and you know it's going to happen. That's bad enough. So you better give a korban, and if you're mazed, you know it's going to happen to you. How? 1 second. Give me 1 minute of North Korea. No. Masha'en ken. No, we got it. Masha'en ken. I'll be with you soon. Masha'en ken. Listen to this. When the action is weak, because it's only groma, it's not direct. Yalla Kiverna said groma. It's slow. And in most other areas of Torah, at Bipotter, here I need, what happens when one partner is not so strong in parenting or in business? The other partner has got to take the 60% because the other one is only doing 40% of the job. And somebody's got to take this. Like, that's what's happening here. Because when I have a pe'ula, not an action, not a malacha, which is grome is really not so hot in the Torah. Then Psik Raisha is not good enough because Psik Raisha is not 100% kavanah, it's only 90% kavanah. I can't have weak kavanah, aka Psik Raisha, for a pe'ula which is also weak. Yeah, that's a blind leading the blind. In that case, we need a real kavanah. I want that pruning for the flowers. Again, when I pruning is the bad child, and soon we'll explain why, of Zorea. Pruning is the malacha which the Rishonim say is a big chiddush. I'll tell you the secret already now. It's we don't have time for games anymore. Pruning, I don't know if you realized, I hinted before, and then I'll repeat what I said before. Usually, all other malachas of Zorea, I'm adding, I'm putting, I'm placing, right? I'm doing something, I'm adding physically into the ground, into the grafting, into the propagating and shmatigating. But in the Shenken here, I'm taking away not only the malacha, it's getting fun. I'm removing it. That is not just a different action from the Ab, it's an opposite action. That's what the Rishonim have tremendous time realizing if it's really malacha or not. If the malacha is so bad, well, first of all, it's slow, right? And secondly, I'm adding another factor to make it easier for everybody here. I'm removing. Such a pe'ula is really shvach. I just removed the plant. You see anything growing? I don't. In 2 weeks' time, it's going to grow. That's not real hardcore malacha for me. Mimele, what makes it malachas Shabbos? My machshava. If I want to prune, the strong will, I want to prune now, that makes up and compensates for the weakness of the action. But if it's just Psik Raisha, I'm like very blasé about it. All I want is a twig, and I don't want the regrowth. Is everything okay there? Are you okay, guys? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. If everything is if I want things to regrow, I don't want the thing to regrow. I'm part about it. Then what did you do? What's mechayev me? The action itself is no second class. It's grama. It's slow, and it's a fuch from the regular malacha. Plus, I don't even have kavana. I'm staying with nothing in my hands. That's how Rashi understood it. And that is one piece of the Igul Etal which just needed more elaboration. If we got here, we're on the top of the world. There is more to say, but this is Rashi. We still have 2 more questions to answer. But this is the main idea. That's a beautiful chiddush of based on the English. I'm actually welcoming short and to the point questions, and then we can continue to the next page. No. Psik Raisha and Groma are not in the same scale. They're different. Maaseh Yadayim and Groma belong to the action family, and Kavana and Psik Raisha are the Machshava family. And you need both. If you have the 2 bad children, the 2 class B, they can't make you a malacha. In other words, if in the side of the action biyadayim is not biyadayim, because pruning is not, and that I can prove from the previous sugya, yeah? Pruning is not a real action unless the Torah told me, yeah? But pruning is not so similar to Zorah. Every child has to be similar to the father, right? It's not similar, it's the opposite. Class is going to grow very slowly. Absolutely. Yes. Beautiful. Therefore, who needs the only reason why you would be chayav on that class B action is because your mind is strong. When one partner is weak, the other partner has to be stronger. And then I need the partner called machshava, meleches machsheves, to be really active. Only meleches machsheves is mechayev grama. And that's the Gemara in Bava Kama. Let's look at it with new light. In other words, when it's only the wind that does the job, I'm only chayav if I'm planning it. I really want that to get there. But if it happens by itself, and if I do that winnowing and it's just going to happen by itself without my kavana, then I would be potter. Why? Because really nothing's happening. The peula is weak. It's only a grama, and my thought is also class B. It's not really there. I'm not really intending. I just know it's going to happen, but I don't want it lechatchila. Yes, let's say I do. Let's say I did for fun, playing a game with the kids. Yes, let's say that was the case. Got it. Yes. Then okay, there's what's about Zohar. There are exceptions. Everything I said, like 10 exceptions, but it is all true and based on Joseph and the Iglutal so far. So far, so good. Now we'll have to explain what before. We have to explain Tosfos. Because Tosfos thinks that there is Psik Raisha. Opa. Now we have to understand what Tosfos thinks otherwise. We also have to answer the Rosh Yosef. Because according to this, if this is also nice, why isn't Zorah Groma? Every Zorah is class B. Could that be? Because Zorah is slow. Okay, yes.
What is
commercial time? The question is now, Tosfos outright says in 2 places that Psik Raisha does apply to Zomer. And the question is, farvos and porqué. Why is that? Why is it really that Tosfos argues on all these beautiful things we just said? There's a complicated answer and an easy answer, and because we only have 11 minutes, I'll give you the easy answer. As opposed to everything I said up until now, it's as opposed to what I said up until now, which is also true in Rashi. There is a different way of looking at Psik Raisha, which will make Ellen happy. Now you're going to be happy. The Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, one of the Rishonim, he says it in Perek called Kitvei Halacha Ches, and he says it in a certain context. And many years later, another came in and said the same idea. His name is Abul Chanan Wasserman, the Talmud of the Chofetz Chaim. They both say the same thing. They both say that according to some Rishonim, according to the Oruch, they say that when you know something's going to happen, when you open the fridge and you know the light will be on, yes, or you brush your hair. So then, well, how do you define it? I'll say it in a way that's a bit direct. Who are you fooling? It's called in French, the Aramaic accent, Anan Sahadi. You know it from other parts of Torah. Anan Sahadi, we are the witnesses. We know that it is what you want. Even though it's not your prime kavana, not your main kavana, but if you know it's going to happen 100% and you still go ahead and do it, it's considered as if you want it. It's considered as full kavana. It's considered as if you really mechaben. A lot of questions about this shittas, but this is one way that they explain it. Now we had a very, very easy answer for Tosfos. Tosfos should be happy now. Tosfos does not view Psik Raisha as second grade 90%. Psik Raisha is like 100%. That's it. So if Psik Raisha is equalized to Kavana, it's as if you are really mechaben, and this is what you want, and this is what you achieved. It may not be your main Kavana, it's true. You open the fridge in order to get the nice food inside, whatever, nice food, cake, coke, whatever that is, that's true. But if you know it's going to happen, it's there in the top of the pyramid together with your kavana. it's as if you have kavana. Then clear. According to that, if Tosas believes that, which by the way Rav Shach also said, so Rav Shach starts saying the same. Tosas believes Psik Raisha is as good as tantamat real kavana. Mimela, who cares if it's Zomer, Zorea, or any other malacha? You always have in Psik Raisha, because Psik Raisha is like kavana. Rashi obviously understood differently. Rashi understood like us, as is clearly mashma, more than mashma in the Iglital and in the Rosh Yosef. That really no, Psik Raisha is not your real 100% kavana. It's almost there, and you usually high, but it's not the same thing. Yeah, only when you have real peula, then Psik Raisha kicks in. But if the peula itself is weak, Psik Raisha is too weak to help it exist. Yeah, in other words, I'll rephrase it. Sometimes kavana is needed to create the whole malacha. Yeah, many times the same malacha is there. You need kavana because otherwise, if you lo leinu shaita, you're not chayiv. But many times, yeah, a kavana is required to create a malacha. I want to give you an example to diffuse a shtickle distress over here. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example from everyday life. Also, you'll come out with something in your hands, which is, although we didn't finish the shiur yet, we still have another area to talk about. That's the Zorah of the Rosh Yosef. I'll give you another example, not exactly to the point, but to just give you an example that is a little bit similar, but it's very nagel halacha. When I ask you a halachic question, rabbis, everybody here is so religious with kippot on their head. So I want to ask you a question. You know that in this country, it's very popular to eat what they call yogurts or puddings, whatever, ma'adan chalav, leben, all these, the yogurts, yeah. And the yogurts, they come in sometimes 4 or 2 or 8, whatever, sometimes a whole train over there, yeah. And the prices also go up, or Hashem. And let's say it's Shabbos afternoon and it's summer, and my dear wife serves to the table 4 yogurts together. Yeah, and I'm not interested in all 4, diet or not diet, I'm going to have all 4. So I just want 1 yogurt cup out of the 4, yeah? So what do? I'm asking you a question, okay? Am I or am I not allowed to take sort of like, take out, sort of cut for myself with my hands, like this, you go, and you cut it for yourself, so to speak, and you pull out 1 yogurt, gavia yogurt, as they call it, 1 gavia of yogurt out of the 3. Is that allowed or not allowed? That's my question. What? Without, let's say there's no writing. Nice. No, let's say there's no writing. No writing. I'm asking, is there any problem of removing 1 yogurt because I'm cutting the thing from the rest of them? Maybe it's also. What? Maybe. Maybe she's saying also. I'm thinking to every Shabbos. Yeah, what do you say? Well, it's no. No, it's also. It's not the same as the bottoming bottle. Soon I'll explain why. I got myself in hot water over here. So let me just explain to you the question. Well, first of all, the answer is it's a machlokes between the 2 great Ashkenaz. I don't know the Sephardi opinion. I have to be honest. I don't know. I actually didn't look into it. The 2 main Ashkenazi big poskim of up until a few years ago were Rav Yosef Shalom Eliashiv versus Rav Shalom Zalman Auerbach. When I was a bocher and a young avrech, everybody always used to talk about, they would be good friends or cholik about almost everything in halacha. Usually Rav Eliashiv was more machmir and Rav Auerbach more mekel, not always. And here too, Rav Eliashiv said that you're not allowed to do that. Why? As opposed to the bottles, all the other things, leave everything else besides. The main malacha at question here is a malacha, a very interesting malacha called mechatech. Mechatech means when you cut something to size. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna, yeah. Okay, my daughter's birthday yesterday. That's why I have so many of them. Yeah. Let's say I take the scissors, ignore mukta. Yeah, it's my fun time. And let's say I want to cut this to perfect size. I'm looking, I'm mamish measuring, and I cut one thing to size, yeah, to specific size which I'm interested in. That is mechatech. Which means if I cut it, it may be other problems. I'm not even sure. Maybe Korea. Yeah, if I just cut a zoya, I'm not mechatech because I don't have any specific size in mind. But if I want a specific size, or let's say to cut a photo out of a magazine is mechatech. Because I dafka want the photo without the text all around it. Yeah? The Seder? So that's mechatech. Says, I'm not talking about Rav Eliashiv's opinion now, not chas v'shalom, not respect, but it's not irrelevant. Says Rav Shalom Zalman Auerbach. There's no mechatech here. Why? Although I want the yogurt and not the other yogurts, am I trying to create a shape here? Am I trying to reorganize, redesign? No. I just want the yogurt. I just like that flavor of tutim, of strawberry, and not the other 3. And the other 3 I'm not going to eat. you know, and mimela, Psik Raisha. Well, but it's happening. It's being cut. Says Rosh Hashanah, no way. You can't have Psik Raisha and mechatech, because mechatech by definition means what? Wanting a specific size. It's embedded in the actual malacha. Usually, kavana is separate to the malacha. I'm doing a malacha, cooking, cleaning, not cleaning, cooking, cutting, whatever, taking, pruning, and I also have kavana. There in mechatech, the definition of the actual malacha is cutting to size, to the size I want. That's, by the way, you're not allowed to use toilet paper on Shabbos, because some people prefer 1 or 2 or 3 squares. That's the reason. Seriously. What? I know, Yashiv allows it, there's different stories. But I'm saying, no, if you're stuck in toilet, I'm being serious now, you can cut it in a way that you don't know how. In other words, without caring how. Yeah, without paying attention. Yes. B'diavad, really stuck? Do it with the elbow, b'shinui, and don't look at the amount of toilet paper. Why? Because there, I'm just trying to show you that sometimes the idea of Psik Raisha is not a side thing, or not Psik Raisha. Sometimes kavana is not an additional thing. Kavana is embedded in the actual thing. And here, not exactly like mechatech, for a different reason. According to Rashi, by Zomer, it's the same idea. Zomer is the same idea. Zomer is the malacha that needs my attention, that needs my specific kavana, according to Rashi. Why? Because if I don't have the kavana and just Psik Raisha, yeah, Zomer is an inferior malacha, and Psik Raisha is inferior kavana. Is inferior kavana. Two inferiors that don't make a shidduch. It doesn't work. Choices believed, like I thought the vibes coming from you, don't fool me. Psik Raisha is exactly the same as real kavana. And mimela, that's like any kavana. It's a kavana. That's it. So you cut it, and it's as if you had kavana. Goodbye, you chayiv. One more thing I owe you. In 2 minutes, you can speak freely. You'll move out of North Korea in 2 minutes. Into Neve Shamir. And for sure. And I still owe you a question, stole you an answer. If this is also nice, and you said it's groma because it's delayed reaction, I asked you, why is Zorea? Why do we have Bechlal, Psik Raisha, and Zorea, right? And we do. In other words, I throw the seeds in the ground, and I know it's happening just for fun. I don't have to go garbage cans. I'm Israeli, and I throw it where on the grass in the park where it may grow. I'm not intending that they're going to grow there, right? But I know it's going to happen. That's Psik Raisha. It's not my main kavana, but for sure it's going to happen. Meretz Hashem, the thing will grow, right? Good. And it's usher, and I'm chayiv. Why? Because it's slow. And if it's slow, then it's like zoimer. Well, what's the answer? The answer is no. Zorea is an av melacha. When the Torah said that something is also as an av melacha, the king of the family, the king of the household, of each mishpacha is the av, which actually happened in the Mishkan, or other Torahs that are very similar, like planting, they are beyond, and this is also a sort of big in different places, they are beyond groma. They're not called groma. They're not called groma. Because the Torah defines it as a ma'isa. When the Torah says, don't do as they did in the Mishkan, and the Mishkan that planted, it can be slow and crazy. Let me ask you a question. How come I'm not allowed to cook on Shabbos? Well, we just said, if we say groma, right? It's a groma. Maybe it's allowed. Maybe we can cook on Shabbos. Obviously not. Why? If the Torah said cooking is usher, and the normal way of cooking is what? Is to cook, and it's slow. It takes time. It's not a microwave. And that's what they did in the Mishkan. Then it's beyond grama. That's not called grama. Only a malacha like zoimer, which is a bad boy because you cut it instead of adding, and it's not so clearly connected to zorea, that we start checking with the microscope and we say, hey, wait a second. This never happened in the Mishkan. It's not even so similar because that's an inferior malach and it's a tolda. Then we say, hey, mister, this is just grama. You want to connect it to the family of Zorea? You need to connect it to the glue called kavana, but real kavana, not Psik Raisha, according to Rashi. The Sheikh, according to Tosfos, no. According to Tosfos, every Psik Raisha is the same as real kavana, so you always chayv. I am absolutely impressed with you people, because it seems to me like you understand it. And there's much more. There are two other ways. I just told you 2 ways to explain Psik Raisha. There are 2 other ways, even more fine-tuned. I want to do you a favor and leave it at that. And there's another question from Bavakama in Zoyer. There's much more here, but I'm open for questions. So it's either me or the car chicken. You can decide. And thank you very much to everybody that watched us in Vium. Thank you very much. It's Locho Rabash. Go ahead.